China attaches great importance to foreign experts in the country and intends to open the door wider for them. In the past 5 years, there has been progress in easing residence and entry policies for high-level foreign talent in order to improve the environment for innovation and entrepreneurship. What is China's attractiveness to foreign researchers? What kinds of measures should China take in order to further build a talent-strong country? And what can foreign talent sources contribute to China's development and international exchange? To discuss these issues and more, I'm happy to be joined in the studio by Dr. Xie Huiping, Chief of the Division of Publicity of the Department of Policies and Regulations at the State Administration of Foreign Experts Affairs, Xu Haoqing, Director General of the Department of Economic and Technological Experts of the State Administration of Foreign Experts Affairs, and Professor Jeffrey S. Lehman, Vice Chancellor of New York University, Shanghai. That's our topic. This is Dialogue. I'm Yang Rui.
5 years ago, in December 2012, President Xi Jinping met with 20 foreign experts from 16 countries who were working in China. Foreign talents are actively engaged in many areas of China's economic and social development and participate in China's modernization drive in various ways. President Xi pointed out that the revitalization of China has been and continues to be supported by people from all over the world, that China is ready to learn from the achievements of other cultures, and that this is a mutually beneficial relationship. The number of foreign talents in China has been continuously expanding, and with that expansion have come improvements in the recruitment and processing system. In the past 5 years, nearly 3.5 million people from other countries have worked in the Chinese mainland, with the total in 2016 reaching around 908,000. What are the driving forces that bring foreign experts to China? How can the system be improved further? And how will China's talent attraction strategy change and grow for challenges of the future?
Welcome to our dialogue here, gentlemen, and this elegant lady. Mr. Xi Jinping met with a group of foreign experts, actually 20 of them from 16 different countries. And he made it very clear that Chinese authorities attached great importance to the role that these foreign experts play in building Chinese economy, in contributing to the construction of the Chinese society, in pushing the modernization campaign. And these foreign experts deserve credit for their sacrifice and noble contributions. So, looking back at what President Xi Jinping said in those days, Haoqing, what can you say to let us know why foreign experts still deserve credit decades after we decided to open ourselves up?
Well, the meeting with foreign experts 5 years ago was President Xi's first meeting after he was elected as the party's General Secretary.
First meeting, that was pretty amazing. Yeah. Very amazing.
And during that meeting, he told the foreign experts that China could not achieve success in development with its door closed, and the Chinese people are ready to learn from achievements of all other cultures. And in fact, after this meeting, President Xi also held similar discussions with foreign experts twice, first in Shanghai, May 2014, and then in Moscow 1 year later. And as a top leader of such a big country, to meet the group of foreign experts so frequently, you can never see this happen anywhere else any time before. It really shows the great importance President Xi attaches to the introduction of foreign expertise. And this is because that in the new era, in the new normal, that China carries out the strategic movement from the moving economic growth from speed-oriented to efficiency and quality preferred, and the foreign talents are really playing key roles in scientific innovation, industrial upgrading, and social development. So Xi Jinping really during his meetings with foreign experts, he stressed that the Chinese government should adopt new measures to make a more open talent policy and to attract talents, so as to make them to come easily, stay pleasantly, work efficiently, and move around properly. And I think a strategic thinking of Xi Jinping to pull the great minds of the world together and make better use of their talents is already formed, and that is very important.
Professor Lehman, you've been working in China in the area of education, of course. You also attended this meeting that President Xi Jinping hosted in honor of the foreign experts here. Now, my question is, in an era when President Donald Trump threatened to close the door of Americans by putting America first, by rejecting immigration from Mexico, for example, by pulling out of UNESCO, pulling out of TPP. Now, you could cite many examples to illustrate his determination and political will to close the door. Whilst President Xi Jinping said in Davos and at the opening ceremony of the 19th National Congress of the CPC that China would never ever close our door. What do you think of the understatement that President Xi delivered to the rest of the world?
Well, I think it's very important that the world continue to be a place where people circulate, where national borders are not barriers, where people can move, ideas can move, and people can cooperate, because I think ideas are shaped by the cultures in which we grow up. And I think when we have ideas coming from different cultures, we can see a problem with more complexity.
Ideas matter. That's the logo of our program.
That's so right. I approve of your logo.
Thank you so much.
And I think it's very important that we continue to have policies that facilitate the movement of people and ideas. And I think that what the State Administration of Foreign Export Affairs has done to facilitate the movement of people from outside China into China.
Oh, by the way, President Xi,
great.
When he was pretty young, when he was a very junior government official, he was sent to the United States and stayed there for a few months. Do you think this unprecedented meeting that he hosted in honor of the foreign experts somehow showcased his the affections and trust that he had developed from then on for opening the door for proactive exchange with our overseas partners, and the introduction of foreign talent could be just one major step in this correct direction?
It's quite possible that he was influenced by that experience. I think my first experience living outside the United States, I lived in France, that had a powerful impact on my eagerness to facilitate these movements. At that meeting, I have to say, I was very much impressed when Secretary General Xi Jinping, he shook hands with us, and when he shook my hand, he said, I'm very familiar with the work that you have been doing at the Peking University School of Transnational Law, and we value that innovation, and we have very high hopes for NYU Shanghai.
You know, a handshake, a historic handshake, could be very meaningful for someone like Bill Clinton. His handshake with JFK prompted him to start his presidential ambition, right? So he became president in the White House. So Dr. Xie, as we know, SAFEA, the State Administration of Foreign Exports Affairs, is responsible for certifying foreign experts to work in the Chinese mainland and organizing overseas training for Chinese technical and managerial professionals. So what important achievements have been made possible as a result?
Well, actually, one thing I want to mention is Sophia is not only for certifying. Actually, we are responsible for the designing and implementation for policies for foreign experts working in China. And well, I think in terms of achievements, I want to say, well, the foreign experts really made great contribution here in China. The two major points that I want to make. One is they are, participant in China's development in different periods, like in revolution or in, reform and opening up. Even now.
You were reviewing the old part of the history.
Right.
Even
right.
in years of Yan'an, where Sidney Rittenberg came over from the United States of America.
Exactly.
But he was in prison for up to 16 years, by the way. That's the very bad part. Because of the leftist ideology of the Cold War. Sorry for this, but he's still very confident about the future of China.
Well, yeah. Well, even now for the new era, we have so many foreign experts, working here in China. And we have many great examples because they work in different fields, a diversity of fields, like education. Mr. Lehman, he was working in education, and also like agriculture industry, finance, science and technology, many fields. And we have many very good examples. And one good example is COMAC, Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China. Sophia has been working with COMAC for, I think, 5 years, right? And so we support them to bring in, I think, more than 150 foreign experts from all over the world, to help them with this development of large aircraft. So to some extent, C919 is I think, it's kind of embodiment of bringing world wisdom together, with China playing the leading role, of course. And during this process, I think the foreign experts, they also, fulfill their own potential. And I think another one I want to say is, the foreign experts, they are private ambassadors between China and the world. And they are bridges and to connect China with the world. And that's very meaningful, very important. Yeah.
One important hallmark of globalization, I'm afraid, is on the one hand you have the brain drain, with the free flow of human resources across the traditional border of a nation state. On the other hand, you have the brain gain, such as our preferential policy in attracting foreign talent to serve the construction of this country one way or another. Hao Qing, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang recently stated that the door for bringing in foreign talent shall be opened even further. What did he mean?
I think he means further open means that we still have a long way to go in terms of...
Excuse me, does he actually indicate automatically we still have some policy obstacles? For example, we are not able to grant them the dual citizenship. What about the visa policy? What about the education and medical care for their spouses and children?
There are several things.
The
main challenges and problems we're facing now are systematic and institutional. So there are many issues related to foreigners working and living in China, such as entry and exit, visa, permanent or temporary residence, and children's education, medical care, just as you mentioned. And so that's why Sophia is taking a very important responsibility. And under the leadership of the State Council, we are carrying out systematic reform, such as April the 1st this year, by the organization implementation of Sophia, a brand new work permit system of the
brand new work permit system is being institutionalized.
Yeah, in the whole country. And in fact, there used to be two systems, the foreign employment license and foreign expert work permit.
Now they have been put together.
Yeah, into one single foreigners work permit. And so in the new system, we carried out, we call it unified criteria of evaluation and also classified management mood, and which means all the foreigners working in China are categorized into three types, namely high-end foreign talents, foreign professionals, and other foreign employees. And also the procedure of the application approval has been streamlined. It can be done online, and the documents required have been reduced by half. The time of checking approval has been cut sharply, and also a lifetime individual code with personal information are issued to all the applicants for the work permit.
We sorry for saying this, but ordinary folks would be a little bit tired of hearing official platitude and rhetoric about policy issues, policy options, policy with this, policy that. They want to know the specific preferential policies and how to execute such policies. For example, if you want to attract the high-end talent, it means you need to flex financial muscles. You need to let them know there's no, it's not an issue for them to enjoy the decency of basic living conditions. They will be respected one way or another. So what are these policy options for them to come here with dignity and with confidence?
Yeah, I wanted to say something more about this new system, because if you are on the first type, the high-end foreign talents, you can enjoy some, we call it green channel. It's, which means you can, there are some favorable terms, like there are exemptions on submission of paper certifications, and some of the documents are not required beforehand. I mean, something just a commitment approach, like the
applications will be simplified.
Simplified, much more simplified. If you
promote efficiency.
Yeah. And I think that's the kind of how to say a main signal the Chinese government are sending to the outside world, that China is the place. If you have the capability, if you are willing to make innovation, make a new life, make a dream in China, this is the place.
Journalists tend to give facts and figures, so let's look at the facts, if any. Let's take New York University, Shanghai as an example. You have many foreign experts there, professors, those with a doctorate degree. So what can you tell us about their way of life? Do they feel comfortable with living in Shanghai? Shanghai is, of course, compared to New York in many ways. There are no reasons why they shouldn't feel comfortable about the lifestyle. But as we are discussing this issue in the context of the latest policies of the CGTN, so what do you think of their feelings?
So I'll answer that in two parts. First, I want to praise Sophia for the policy changes. We have a lot of employees who are teachers who come from overseas. 30 different countries are represented on our faculty. And it used to be very difficult to get the kinds of work permits that are required. The new policies have streamlined things, and it also actually affects our graduates. So I believe one of our graduates was the first, maybe in Shanghai, maybe the first in the country, to get a permit that allows a foreigner to stay and work in China immediately upon graduation, rather than used to be they'd have to leave for 2 years and then come back. So a lot of those streamlining things have had a big impact on us as a school and our ability to bring in talent. In terms of the question of what is it that that people worry about in their ability to live a happy life in Shanghai, I actually think the things that people used to worry about in terms of will they be able to find good food or interesting art or anything like that, those are all ancient history. Shanghai is a great world city. The issues.
Well, what about some of the things that the Americans hold very dear? For example, former U.S. President George W. Bush, the father, said, along with the products that cross the borders, you have the values from the United States and from European countries. So do you think your American colleagues feel free to say whatever they like in the classroom, or they need to be very cautious? They think twice about things they teach in classes of humanities?
We were promised academic freedom and the creation of our school, and that promise has been fully kept. And so our faculty can say whatever they want. They sincerely believe it in their teaching.
They say what they believe.
They say what they believe.
Without being harassed.
Without being harassed, none of that. And it generates active conversation and disagreement in the classroom, because people see things from different perspectives. And that's how they develop their arguments and become stronger. That's not an issue. I think the larger issues involve keeping ties with the home country. Access to information, if there are issues about access to the internet, that could be an issue for faculty. When we're recruiting people from overseas, one of the first things they ask is, will I be able to use Facebook? My family is on Facebook. What am I going to do about that? Those kinds of questions really do matter a lot. And so that's a factor. Healthcare is a factor. People want to be sure that when they're here, they can get health care. And often the faculty who come in don't speak great Chinese, and they're worried if they're sick about having a conversation through an interpreter or with someone who doesn't speak their language. Now in Shanghai, we just saw the opening of the Jiahui Hospital, which is a truly world-class international hospital. So those issues are being addressed one by one. But I agree with you, Yang Rui. I think it is actually the soft issues about the quality of life that matter the most when you're trying to recruit talent here.
Since Shanghai is often compared to New York, I wonder your American colleagues would gradually develop a similar feeling shared by the locals about being a New Yorker. You have the sense of superiority, arrogance, freedom, sophistication, or whatever. But you're watching Dialogue with Dr. Xie Huiping, Professor Jeffrey Lehman, and Mr. Xu Haoqing. We're discussing why preferential policies have been adopted by the Chinese authorities to attract more foreign talent in constructing the soft power of this most dynamic economy in the world, as China gets so close to the center stage of the world economy and world politics. That's the punchline from President Xi Jinping. We'll be back in a short while. Stay with us, please. Welcome back. Haoqing, one more question, a follow-up question about the work permits. Foreign expert work permits are from now on going to be integrated into the foreigners' work permit in China. What's the thinking behind this?
I think it's, we call it a gift to the high-end foreign talents. And because, you know, you say, foreign experts used to use the term, but now we call it foreign talents, and including all kinds of people working in China. And we use the new system to make it clearer that the foreign experts and foreign talent of all kinds, if you are qualified, if you are in demand of the Chinese social and economic development, you're welcome here. And so we can, that's why we streamline the procedure and make it much simpler. And actually this is, we call it a competent procedure, competent measure in the worldwide, because in the nowadays the global economic globalization, internationalization of talent. So each country in the world, I mean the major ones, they are coming up with some new measures to attract talent from all over the world. So if you have something new that, especially in a country like China, maybe other countries can copy you maybe 1 year or later. So that's why we have to be very careful in coming with new policies and measures and make it scientific and according to the realities of the Chinese economic development.
What can you say about the so-called green channel through which foreign experts could be brought into our country more easily, right?
I think that's echoing with your previous question, also with the green channel. Generally speaking, we are the new system aiming at, how to say, to provide a convenience to all the applicants, but we do provide the green channel to the high-end foreign talent. To, let's say, if you are already in China, just like Jeffrey's a graduate, he can get the work permit right away. In previous time, you have to go back to your own country and apply again. So things like that really only for the, how to say, it's showing the targeting of China.
You're excellent enough.
Yeah,
right?
if you're excellent enough. And also back to a question about the job market of China. I think that's it's a common practice for the government to strike a balance between introducing foreign talents and protecting domestic job market. And I think that's, if you see, as long as China's developing quickly in recent years, there are more and more high-end professionals and talents coming to work in China and even open up their own business in China. So new and growing employment opportunities can be created. And as foreign experts, like your faculties working in China, doing a good job, so the personnel in different fields of China, the quality have been improved. That also facilitates the job market in China.
Jeffrey, undeniably, in the post-Cold War era, some policymakers are still locked up in the attitude of animosity regarding the Cold War, zero-sum game. This is an age where major powers would compete for talented professionals. It's not China alone that would do whatever to attract high-end talent. The United States, for example, back in the year 1950s, 60s, Mr. Chen Xuesen, our top nuclear scientist, used to enjoy very good treatment in the United States, but he, for one reason or another, came back. He found his way back to his motherland, and China successfully ignited nuclear bombs. We became one of the major nuclear-armed countries among the P5 of the United Nations Security Council. That gave rise to the question as to the sensitive issue as to how the United States would look at the preferential policies that the State Council of China rolls out.
Well, I think all advanced nations are interested in attracting talent from all over the world for the reasons we've been talking about. I think in the modern era, all advanced nations are trying to move their economies to be based on innovation. And innovation arises when you have multiple ideas from different perspectives colliding. And so American universities now, vast numbers of faculty members were born outside the United States. That's been a great advantage for the United States for a long time. I think as China continues to develop its universities, that's going to become more and more common, a more and more common feature. I think that is the nature of economic development, social development, and given how interdependent we all are today, that's something that we should all encourage. I think all countries should be happy when other countries are committed to this program of circulation of ideas, movement of people. So I think as we've seen, the forces of anti-globalization have risen up in the last 2 years around the world, and that's something for us to listen to understand why, to address the concerns that triggered this, and then to move forward with the process of reglobalization, because we all need to engage to address the challenges that we all face, whether they're about disease or climate change or about terrorism. We need to be able to have the benefits of different people from different cultures working together all over the world.
Haojing, the last question, I need to have a very short answer. President Xi Jinping delivered an opening keynote presentation at the just concluded 19th National Congress of the CPC. What did he say about pulling more foreign experts to China?
Well, in this report of the 19th CPC National Congress, it stressed that talent is the strategic resource of national rejuvenation and international competition, like Jeffrey just said. And China should carry out more active, open, and effective policies in gathering talent home and abroad to bring them to our great cause. And I think this is very important, and Sophia, as a responsible government, we are taking measures to carry out the strategic decisions made by the 19th Congress.
Thank you so much. In fact, by having more high-end or professional foreign experts, we not only execute the Chinese version of China Dream, but we also share the implications of American Dream together, so that we enjoy co-prosperity in a new era. Thank you so much for being part of this meaningful dialogue about the collective future we share. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.